Thanks everyone for joining on this evening here with us. So really our goal as the IDSA Seattle board is to create a more inclusive community of designers in the Pacific Northwest. Um, so when we asked ourselves, hey, it's a new school year, how do we connect with the students? We said, well, why don't we kick things off by doing industry stories? Let's talk about our experiences and share it with them, as well as have a really open dialogue, so that you guys can all talk to us and interface and get to know us, because we're here to support you and help you get through your hopefully your careers and or through school. So what's really remarkable when we looked at the board is the amount of diversity in our skill sets and the areas that we've all worked in, and we thought that that was a really great theme to tackle. So the presentation format is like, this is just a discussion, right? And each one of us are going to present something about 3 to 4 slides each, and then afterwards ask a question. Let's chat a little bit and we'll move on to the next. We'll end things off with kind of summarizing what are the next steps after this, as our first engagement for the new school year. And then, yeah, we'll take it from there. So I'm going to share my screen. All right. Does everyone see it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm going to hit the present. All right. So everyone will introduce themselves, I guess. Let me just move your faces over. Let's just have everyone introduce themselves per section, but 5 board members, amazing people. We've got Anthony, Scott, Ginger, Kate, and me. Huh, interesting. Let me just double check this is the right presentation, guys.
You got it.
While he's doing that, I'm kind of curious where you students are all going to school right now. If you want to throw it in the chat or say it out loud while we have a second.
A bunch of us are from Western Washington University.
Cool.
Yeah, we should have some more members filtering in too. There's a little bit of trouble with the Zoom link, but we got it worked out now. But yeah, no, we're Western students. Henry and I are Henry John here, who's in the chat as well. We're co-presidents of the IDSA chapter at Western. And yeah, really excited to hear about your guys' experience in the industry.
Cool.
Just a quick note, Ginger seems to be having internet issues, so she will be back, I think, when she can. She said her Zoom is broken.
Ginger.
Let me share my screen. Okay.
Herman,
Yeah.
just a heads up, you may need to let people in since you're the host.
Okay. All right, let me double check that. Can you guys see the PowerPoint presentation again?
Yep.
Okay. Before I let me just pull up the Zoom.
You might want to, yes, just stick the participants on the side or something so you can see if people come in.
Good call. And try and move this bar. All right, here we go. Okay, good stuff. Oh, you guys see the one with notes, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, give me a second here.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Don't forget, we fall back an hour this weekend. It's the good one, not the bad one.
That's right.
I really didn't realize that. I'm actually pretty glad you said something. Thanks.
Saturday night into Sunday morning. It's the hour.
Ooh,
This is the one. This is the hour that didn't exist. I guess
love it.
both are. Yeah, because you like, I think it goes like a 1:59 back to 1 a.m. or something like that.
All right, guys. Let's get started. We'll start
Yeah.
off with chair. Anthony.
Yeah. I'll get going. Hello, everybody. My name is Anthony Garzzona. I've been involved with IDSA since I think I was the president of IDSA. Now that you mentioned it, of when I went to the Art Institute, and that was from 2008 to 2011. So that was when I first got involved with IDSA there, and a lot of it then was, sketching is one of my favorite things to do, and so I think each meeting kind of just became me coming up with like a new sketch prompt or something, and then we'd sketch for an hour or so and go from there. Anyway, so I've been involved with IDSA since then, and in the role of chair for the last couple of years now, which has been super fun to do that and be involved with like this fantastic team. So like I said, I was at the Art Institute until 2011, and then I forget when the Art Institute closed its doors. I think it was like 3 years ago, 2 years ago, or something like that. What's in there now? Do y'all know? I'm trying to think what's in there now.
Couple ghosts.
Ghosts of of instructors past or something like that. Yeah, probably ghosts. While I was there, I was fortunate enough to have an internship at a shoe design company, which is over in Factoria, named the Top Line Corporation. And so that internship led to, I was very fortunate enough to have a job waiting right after I graduated. So that led to my first job, which was at the Top Line Corporation. And that is, I believe it's still currently owned by Steve Madden. And so I did women's shoe design there for about a year and a half. And that was everything from, Payless up to like Nordstrom and everywhere in between. So, JCPenney, Ross, Kohl's, Sears, Nordstrom's, Macy's, Aldo, all that kind of stuff. And that was just a ton of sketching, right? A ton of shoe sketching. And it was even like a lot of like what we would call like Frankensteining. So like taking, like the bottom of, let's say, a flat, and then the top design of like this like 6-inch stiletto heel or something, and combining them together to make like a whole new shoe or something like that. So so a lot of time there was sketching in pencil, hand inking. So a lot of that pinstripe technique where you drop that pinky onto the paper, and drag across. So a lot of that. At the same time I was there, it looks like the image is a little bit shifted, but that's all right. I was doing that during the day, and at night I had contract work working for a company called Altrider, and they do aftermarket touring motorcycle products. So think like skid plates, foot peg wideners, extenders. So instead of like your kickstand foot, so like if you're putting your kickstand down like into gravel, let's say, and you have this big heavy bike, if it's a single point, it might tip. So it's like just like almost like a gecko foot to like make it wider. Luggage racks, all this kind of stuff. So it's kind of fun going, from drawing women's shoes to the day to like designing aftermarket like motorcycle parts like at night. So I did that for a little while, and that led to my current position, which is at a company called Taphandles. I've been there for about 8.5 years now, so it's been a good long journey. I'm currently an associate art director at the company, and the handle that I have in this image is one of it's one of my favorite designs. It might be my favorite design. It's one that I've done a long time ago. And that guy is hinged at the hips, almost like a foosball player. So when you pull the tap to open the beer, it'll bow, and there's some motion added to it. So it's kind of the first time I saw something more that was then just like a stationary post, let's say. And kind of like when I was doing the alt-writer stuff while I was at Top Line, I nights and weekends are filled with freelance work. So I do a lot of like commissioned illustration work, everything from like commissioned like character design for like let's say like your Dungeons and Dragons characters. I'll do stuff for that, or commissioned like logo design work. The example here is I have a friend that did a pop-up for a burger restaurant of his called Mayo Boys. And so this is like some business card template or business card ideas that I put forward using the logo that I made for them. And then the thing that I want to go into a little bit more in depth is actually a product of the pandemic, which I called Try and I Design. And Herman, you can go to the next slide.
Sure.
Okay, so like I said, Try and I Design is it's just like it's an Instagram experiment or like that I put out. And like I said, it was like a product of the pandemic in that I now have 2 hours a day that would normally be commuting. I'm not gonna say back, but I now have that 2 hours to do stuff, right? So what I wanted to do with that was I kind of wanted like to expand, you know, capabilities into different styles, different subject matters, different themes or ideas. You know, if you're ever like, you know, you're at the bar with buddies, or you're just like jiving on ideas, and like, you know, those little nuggets come out, and maybe they're only good for like to experiment with a little bit, and then you crumple them up and toss them, right? So that was kind of where these ideas were meant to live. And so the whole goal is like, yeah, like I said, I come up with like either a new theme, a new idea, a new style, and maybe even like a new, these are all digital, so it could be like a new digital brush that I wanted to experiment with or something. So taking that and experimenting with it like on an idea 9 different times, you know, I have explained that I picked 9 because it's more than a few. So so it gives, you know, it gives the idea a little bit more than just, you know, a little dabble. It experiments with it a little bit more to see if there's any more meat to it. And it's not so many that it's like 20 where you've exhausted it too much and you're past the point of where you should just move on to the next thing. In reality, a 9x9, you know, a 3x3 grid looks kind of good. Here, I just have 3 from each different things. And so I'm just trying to show kind of like the variety of of some of the different things that I've experimented with, as far as like, I got like motorcycles, I was thinking about game controllers, bonsais, weird neon helmets. I had a friend in college that his goal was to do yacht design and only yacht design. And I realized that I'd never had drawn a yacht before. So what is that like? It's kind of like drawing like a fancy shoe or a knife. And then really getting like, you know, just more illustrative with kind of like, there's an 80s artist named Patrick Nagel that has these very kind of classic Duran Duran album cover stuff that I wanted to experiment with. Herman, you can go to the next slide for me. So as far as takeaways that I want to give, focusing on that Try and I Design account, like kind of like what I already explained, the main goal there was to trying to design within constraints and to explore, you know, the corners of that box, and also to see where you can kind of breach outside of it a little bit, right? And so the idea was that like designing within constraints through like repetition would lead to creative growth, one thing. Another thing, it was that it would lead to developing a whole library, both mental and physical, of content that can later be referenced. So like, let's say I am designing something for work for like a brewery that is like 80s, you know, nostalgia inspired or something like that, right? Oh, I've already kind of experimented with the style. I already kind of know this artist, whatever. I have experience with that already and what it feels like to, you know, create that line work, that theme, how to make it look that way. Boom, I can apply it to this new time that it's happening. Kind of shifting away from that and looking back at my day job at Taphandles, I think the main takeaway that I kind of want to give there is the importance of communication. I think I was describing it to the team earlier that that's not necessarily a cop out or like kind of like an obvious one. I know for me, it's something that is going to be a lifelong pursuit in terms of strength in communication, both verbally, through the written word, and visually, and how it's almost an art in a way, as far as like picking the right words at the right time to get just the right amount of information across at that specific moment. I would say, you know, I think that like maybe a good stand-up comedian is very good at this, right? Granted, it's rehearsed, but a stand-up, you know, as far as you know, quality of word choice goes at a certain cadence or time. And so here I'm in this visual, I'm trying to demonstrate kind of how communication is used roughly. It's just an idea with my daily work, as far as like calling out color, material, finish on a handle, maybe how a part of it might function as far as like it being magnetic, and then in the bottom right showing what different possible iterations of this could look like. And so the visual speaks for itself without me having to be necessarily in the room to describe it to the customer. If I am able to do that, it could help, the visual helps emphasize what the goal of the design is. Yeah, I could go on, but I'm not going to. I'll pass it. Oh, yes, if there's any questions, like Herman said, it is a discussion. And if not, that is totally okay.
Cool. Such good work. Thanks so much.
Yeah, of course.
Great. Just gonna click here. Okay, guess the next one's on to me. So I'm Herman Chan. I was born and raised in Vancouver, Canada. Studied over at Emily Carr. Is there anyone from Emily Carr here? Just wanted to see. Hit up the chat box if you are. And then from Emily Carr, it was, you know, my senior thesis, it was open-ended. It was like, what problem do you want to solve? And I said, gonna design the airplane lavatory, because most people can resonate that it sucks. And little did I know that Teague was based out of Seattle. I don't even think I knew Boeing was in Seattle. So it so happened that they sponsored my project, which put my foot into the door. I joined Teague Aviation to help them primarily develop from concept to production first-class interiors, custom interiors for Emirates, Etihad, Korean Airlines. So I launched a bunch of, or realized a bunch of aircrafts. That took quite some time to develop aviation. It's a longer lead. So then I joined the Teague Design Studio in downtown, where I was in pretty much developing the future of aviation for suppliers and transportation, such as clients such as Hyundai, Kia, and many more. After Teague, I decided to move over to Amazon, where they pretty much, I got hired and I didn't know what I was working on. They told me that we're redefining what retail is or what it was, and I pretty much was the first, Thomas and I, which is the co-founder of Form Future, we're the first industrial designers in Seattle that ended up pretty much touching all the different areas of Amazon Go to envision what that retail was. We spent about 4 years there, launched various stores and innovations, and then afterwards we created the design studio Form Future over here in Ballard, and then most recently, a little bit over a month ago, launched our second company called Juno. And Juno is Juno is my dream, right? Like I think ever since back in Emily Carr days, or even when I was younger, I wanted to run my own business. I wanted to do something meaningful. And so I'm really fortunate and lucky to get here. I'll speak a bit about Juno, then I'll talk to you guys about my industry insight. So Juno comes from a personal pain point. As a designer, you're always kind of like I think in the search of like problems and saying I could do that better. And my pain point was through my now 7-year-old son. And when he was born, I just wanted the most natural, healthiest environment for him. And so we really paid for a wooden crib, organic crib mattress. But when you're a new parent, you do realize that you don't need a crib. You need a bassinet, that because the kid wakes up every 2 hours. So you need something right next to your bed, so it's easy and convenient to you to experience. And what was really disappointing between my wife and I was that we could not find a product that was natural and convenient to use. In other words, everything was synthetic metal plastics that when we opened it, the smell just floored you. We'd leave it outside and we're like, that's weird. Like, we're leaving it outside, but we're gonna put a kid in there. Like, this doesn't make sense. And for a product that's only used 4 to 5 months, it's, that this is gonna go in the landfill. It's not designed to be disassembled, right? So it just felt really discouraging. And then on top of that, we realized we had like 5 different products for baby, because all these things were, it's like feature creep. There's automatic rocking, there's all these features of adjusting heights, but it gets so complicated that it can't move around the house. So you end up buying more and more products. And so I went to Thomas, he doesn't have a kid, and I was like, this is my problem. We need to try to figure a way to solve this, because it's not sustainable. And I think we can create a sustainable product that is not compromised at all. And that's what we set out to do 3.5 years ago. Little did we realize in the beginning was there's this product in Finland called the Finnish baby box that's made out of cardboard. And it's been used for the past 80 years. And it literally is a box where babies sleep in. And we, coming from Amazon, we really were exposed to the forefronts of what paper can do. And we kind of then really pieced it together and said, holy crap, like actually this material is baby grade. It's recyclable and it's like natural. 2 ingredients: starch for bonding, paper pulp as the main material. But people definitely perceive it, especially from Amazon, as a shipping box. We know that we can make it so much more rigid. And so we set our path on designing how to make a product that is ultra easy to assemble, easy to move around, incredibly durable. So we worked and developed a unique blend of paperboard that it's a water repellent. So I can pour a glass of milk on it. We can wipe it down after a few minutes. Nothing will happen. My kid jumps on it, my toddler. It's incredibly sturdy. And more importantly, it's a product that can be set up within less than 30 seconds, no tools. That means that you can just focus on baby. And if you need this bassinet on the next floor, you can just collapse it and bring it straight up, where there's no other product out there in the market like it. And sustainability is so important to us, and there's so many details I could go into, but like from sourcing and making sure everything was made in the USA, we have a patented design where there's a breathability built into the solution. We partnered with the very best, like the best, we wanted to offer the best sleeping pad for baby compared to any other bassinet that is typically vinyl and polyurethane foam. Ours is like 100% certified cotton, a breathable foam that's hypoallergenic, and just like everything's recyclable. So you can really feel good that at the end of the day, whether that's you're using it for one baby or actually a few, you can actually put this thing in the blue bin and know that it will be turned into something different than feel guilty putting it in the trash or donating it, hoping that someone might use it and they probably won't. So that's Juno. So when I went back to all my experiences and how I went from Teague to Teague Design Studios over to Amazon and really Juno, it really, for me, the key was the ambition to learn and being genuine to people. Those 2 things really helped me get there. And I'll give you just a simple story. When we were developing Juno, we had a prototype. we had our paperboard manufacturer produce it, and we didn't know if like we designed it based on my experience. But as a designer, you're not designing for yourself. You're designing for a community, a tribe that shares the same pain points. And so I just wanted to learn. Like I really wanted to learn, like, is this the right solution? And approached, pretty much went out there and started connecting with all the birthing experts in Seattle, leading to Amity here and a few more. But Amity is amazing. She is the owner and she's a doula trainer, and owns a birthing company called Thresholds. And when we showed her a product and told her the story and wanted to listen to what feedback she had, she said, you know what do you need? And we said, can we get our prototypes in front of your class and just have them, jot down, like fill out a survey to understand, like, do we have a business? How much would they pay for it? Like, all like really understanding the business case and the design. And she said, no problem. And so what that led to is like really us committing to launching our own company, because there was a resounding response of positivity to what we're doing. And I would say, like, being genuine is really important, because people remember that. And it really, these friendships that you establish, starting with ambition to learn, you start connecting with people that want to support you, and then being genuine back to them, those become lifelong networks. And those networks is, for me, been pivotal to getting me through my career to this point and to launch a company. Any questions?
I have a question. Is there like a online way to access the information about Juno? Because one of our classmates is working on a project that I just think is so in line with a lot of those principles. It's like a cooking station for younger children, and it's just like, that was so. I wish Noah was here to see talk about that project. But if you have a way that I could send that information to him, that would be amazing.
Yeah, there's definitely a few. This will be recorded on YouTube, so he could
Cool.
jump on, review it. But also, hellojuno.com is our website. And then at the end, we'll invite in the end we'll invite anyone to connect to anyone that resonates, that people want to do it. So we won't share. It's pretty much LinkedIn. Just get them to LinkedIn me or anyone else too.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Cool. Anyone else, or should we move on?
Amazon Go, I saw recently at Climate Pledge Arena, the same thing. Is Amazon Go in that? Or is
It
that?
is.
Okay, cool. I wasn't sure. They didn't say it explicitly, so I wasn't sure if it was them or.
Yeah, so Amazon Go, we wanted to launch a store first, so we had full control over the technology. But that whole organization's also moved into enabling it for other stores, and partnering with them. So they pretty much box up the technology and yeah, it's available. That's why you don't see, I think it was Shaq's Chicken Shop or something. Oh no, yeah, it's a different branded company, I think.
Sweet.
Cool.
Yeah, hi everybody. So I'm Scott Tsukamaki. I consider myself a physical and digital user experience designer, because I both do the industrial design, physical product design, but I also do a lot of UX and UI work as well. And so I've worked for a lot of different types of companies. So whether they're corporations or startups or small businesses and consultancies and things like that. But I'm currently at Fluke Corporation, which is a test and measurement company here in Everett, Washington. And not that we all have to design baby products, but friend and I have partnered up and have a diaper bag company called Kimbuilt that we've had for a few years. And yeah, I think that's like the third of small businesses or startups that I've kind of helped partner with. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So I'm going to talk today a little bit about adding to your arsenal. Um, so, it's really easy for, I think, for people to talk about a lot of the successes that they've had because it's fun to talk about. But um, if I kind of look back at my whole career, there's been a lot of times where people have told me that I couldn't do something, or I wasn't very good at it, or that I shouldn't even go into industrial design. So maybe I was like a 1-star Scott at some point in my life. But yeah, I kind of thought about what I needed to do to get into the industry. So on the next slide here, um, move to next. Oh, there we go. So, it started out in the upper left where I just needed some experience. So, I didn't get a job right out of college. So started my own little consultancy where I tried to freelance a bit. And that's kind of where I landed X2 Impact, which is a concussion monitoring startup. And then from there, I decided I needed to actually get some real world experience. So I moved to Aqualung, where I worked in the outdoor industry for a bit. And then, I've always wanted to work for Fluke. So I needed that plastic part design. So I went to BDA, where I worked on a lot of gaming handheld designs. And then I finally made it. So I made it to Fluke, was there for 6 years and stuff. And then I felt like I needed to do something a little bit different. So I went to Mason, which is an Internet of Things startup, to help them build a physical brand. And of course, I talked about my ventures for a little bit. So I had a dog toy company, and then we have our um, Viper Bay company. So, all these different things, just like stocks, I feel like you should diversify your skills and work. So, as you graduate and think about what you want to do, you may or may not know exactly what you want to do, and that's okay. So, I would go out there and explore and try and gain all these different experiences because they will help you along the way. Next slide. And so my thoughts is, my first one is that we've all been there or something really similar. So it's just the way we tell the story that is different, right? So we all have these shared experiences of going to school and trying to find an internship and, hopefully getting a job and, having a career and stuff like that. It's just a little bit different and we all get there differently. So it's okay if the way you go about it is not the same as maybe you envision, because I think as long as you kind of go after what you want, you can get there. The second one is about how your job and your title doesn't define who you are as a person, right? So do what makes you happy and able to live a life that's good for you and the people and things that you care about. So for me, it's about really good beer and like really bad friends. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, so, make sure that you enjoy life because you go to your job, but there's a lot of other things outside of that that makes you who you are. So yeah, and that's it for me. So any questions?
It seems like you've worked in like a variety of different industries, and I'm curious, how that's sort of taken you like around physically, like in the world. Because I mean, I know my
Yeah,
classmates and I were all gearing
yeah,
up for internships and thinking
yeah,
about living in different places, and
yeah.
how has that sort of affected you in your experience?
So that's a good question. And so what's funny is I have never moved. I've always lived in this greater Seattle area. That being said, I've had the opportunity to travel the world at Fluke. So I've been to Vienna and to the Netherlands and things like that. And around the US to go talk to customers and work with people from different cultures. So um, yeah, so I do encourage people to leave your comfort zone of being wherever you are and trying other places because like I work now with a guy who lives in the Netherlands, and it's great. I mean, the meetings are like 7 in the morning or 6:30 in the morning, but it's cool to just have a different kind of culture or person to talk to. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Scott, real quick, what's the dog toy company?
Oh, it's called Up Dog Toys.
Right.
Yeah, it was cool. We made a couple of products. We sold it this year, so yeah. So yeah, it was fun.
That's rad. I never heard about that one.
Scott,
Yeah, it was kind of just back there. Yeah.
what's the diaper bag company called again?
It's called Kinbuilt.
Kinbuilt?
Yeah, working on
Oh,
new stuff for that, so that should be fun.
Scott, are you actually 50? I didn't
Am I
know.
50? Yeah. Yes.
Have
the
you already
Asian
had 4
genes.
careers? I didn't
Yeah.
realize.
Yeah. I'm the Benjamin Button of but yeah.
I just wanted to kind of add to this point. I love I love this talk because everything's always fine and dandy, and especially your job and title doesn't define you. It's so interesting because I don't know, I noticed that for myself, one of my learnings and as well as a lot of people in the industry over time is you sometimes there's too much focus on title of trying to be like, oh, I want to be a senior designer, I want to get to this part, but the focus is wrong. Like the focus is about experiences, is about really what are you learning, like, and it's the journey to get there. And I don't know, I've been guilty of just focusing on the title, I would say, and I appreciate you calling that out to everyone here. It's like, don't let that define you. So thanks for that, Scott.
I can't believe I have to follow up, Scott. It's just not fair. So I'm Ginger Wu. I went to University of Washington. I actually share a lot of experience with people here on this board, which might tell you a few things. But so between my junior and senior year, I had the pleasure of having an internship at Fluke Corporation. And I had a really great experience. When I went back to school for senior year, I was able to work during the school year actually at Teague Aviation, and that was great to sort of get that experience fit into my school schedule. That was really nice, and have something that was different from Fluke. After school ended, I was contracting for Taphandles, another very different experience. I got a taster of for a couple of months, and then in those couple of months, Fluke kind of worked out what they wanted, and they were like, "Hey, you should come back and join us." So I returned to the scene of the crime. I've been there for 5 years already, and kind of begun to shape my my career and seek these things that I want now, and finding that mentorship is a big deal to me, and how can I kind of replicate what I experienced early in my career, and help give that to other people. Go ahead, next slide. So I didn't know what to expect when I went to Fluke for my internship. It's one of those things where if you're not an electrician, you don't really know anything about Fluke, and you look at this company and they make these strange yellow boxes and you don't know how they work because you're not an electrician. My family didn't have a lot of people that worked in offices. I didn't even know what to expect to go to a big company, and see a bunch of cubicles and work in an environment like that. And I didn't know that I would have such a thorough design process, and that it would be so rewarding, and that I would get such valuable experience. So I was able to have what was roughly, a quarter long project of my own. I was able to utilize all these resources that were at Fluke and make really wonderful prototypes, mock-ups, sketches, presentations, and work with a great team. And then ultimately create things that were, I think, beyond what I was doing at school, and have really nice artifacts for that that went into my portfolio and sort of built on experience and confidence, and taught me what a little bit of the real world was like. And so several years later, I was thinking, how do I make this my own for Fluke, make a good experience for someone else, and create something that Fluke wants to do over and over again and have more interns. So we took an intern this past summer, and they were my responsibility, for better or worse. I think it turned out pretty good. It was a unique situation. So obviously, when an intern comes in, they don't do the same project as other interns. We had to find something good for them to work on. They had to work remotely. That was pretty unique circumstances. It was our first remote design intern, and hopefully we'll get back to full in person, but this opens up the possibility that maybe, we won't have an intern that's in like the Pacific Northwest even. And they got to utilize, again, Fluke's resources from a distance. So we were 3D printing, we had all these materials, there were still presentations and meetings that took place online. And then I got to fill that manager role of, now that you have a prototype, let's go mock it up with some photos. And I got to dress up and pretend that I was a technician, and fun stuff like that. And I looked back and realized how much it really mirrored the experience that I had, which was so impactful on me. And I like to think that that was the same for this person, Minjung, who went to UW. Go ahead and advance to the next slide. So I just wanted to let you know that when you are going through with your experience and hopefully able to go to different places and meet new people, you can return to the places that are meaningful, and you can return to the places that make sense to you, where you get there and they allow you to determine the arc of your career, the things that you want to do. And that's one of the things that I found really comfortable about Fluke. You don't have to fit into the same mold that everyone else did. They need someone that's unique, and they need someone who's their own person to determine what they're going to do. They need that different perspective. And so I went back that way because I felt good about the product. I felt passionate about these users, and I felt like I had the autonomy to determine what I wanted to do and then implement it. And that's the second insight here, where I wanted to help others craft their journey. That's kind of why I'm here at IDSA. That's why I'm working with the people that I'm working with. And it feels like I can give back. And it's not just the idea of giving back because of what I receive, but also because when we mentor people and when we participate in that cycle, it's very unique every time. It's exciting. People have different lives and different contexts and different projects that they're going to work on. And this is one of the most dynamic things that you can do. Obviously, you can go to some hotshot company and work on crazy products that, aren't invented yet. But if you work with another human being, every day will be different. Every day will be new. And I think that that was one of the best ways to give me gratifying and advancing experiences in my career and as a person. So with that, any questions?
On the previous page, there were, in the top left, are those, I didn't know if those were real or are those like colored 3D prints?
Those are colored 3D prints. So at Fluke, we have a starch 3D printer that will inject color, and you can determine the colors you want in your CAD program and then export as such. And it's funny that that's a great resource we have. It's very old. It's a super old 3D printer, and they're kind of hard to support now, but they print really fast, a little on the rough side, and they're cheap. So we actually use it quite a bit. And it's the same printer that you see in the lower center, that white model, that's the same thing.
That's okay. So did that print like that with like the hinge all together, or?
It had to be assembled,
Got it.
but yeah, it printed pretty much like that.
Have you ever
See,
like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I know that these have a bunch of like electronics in them. So like, have you ever on purpose printed it separate so that you could maybe create like a working prototype?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
The starch ones are a little rough because they're brittle. So if you dropped it, you just shatter it.
Got it.
But yes, you can. Joey, you've got your hand raised.
Yeah, I just had a question on the bottom left. Is that just a prototype or like a form exploration for something, or not quite sure what that is?
On the bottom right, or
The cardboard
oh yeah,
priority mail one. Yeah.
yeah, that's like a rough prototype. So we had to find ways of like, how do you make a rough prototype at home? And so just the supplies that are available. I mean, I think we make some cardboard prototypes at Fluke too, maybe more foam board, but we've definitely had stuff that started on paper, things that are sort of like stitched together from other things, other products, all kinds of prototyping going on. That was definitely like a remote workaround in some ways.
Awesome.
Hi, I actually had a question.
Mhm.
I was just wondering what it was like being like a person of color, like in design, and a woman. Like, is it like a noticeable lack of women in POC in the design world, or is it getting better?
It's getting better. I think that, yeah, I've had experiences where I was like, I'm a little different of a person in this room. I've had experiences where I was working with customers and I was like, this is a weird place for me to be because it's not the same demographics. Like, you know, a lot of our users are men. And I think as a designer, there's always a little bit of like, you have to do extra work to relate to your user, even if you were someone who does use those products. So already you're kind of trying to bridge gaps, get on the same emotional level and kind of understand their context as if you lived their life, which is challenging no matter where you go. I'll also say that there's a lot of work being done, not just at Fluke, but lots of places to make workplaces more welcoming, make them more inclusive. From a business standpoint, because it's good for business, it's good for the ideas that we make. It makes sense that way. And also just because it's the right thing to do. So we're getting there slowly. But yes, I've definitely taken notice sometimes.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Amazing questions. Kate.
Cool. Hey, everyone. I'm Kate. I'm the newest member of our board. I joined in the spring to get the Women in Design program going. And Ginger and I, and a new member, actually, Margaret, who's not here tonight, are going to be launching it for real in the next month or so. So look out for some more events coming from us. Like Scott and Ginger, I went to UW, but actually on this slide before that, I put a current photo of like the ceramics work that I do because I think it's important in my like life story that it was kind of the first area when I was in middle school where I started like understanding what it's like to just sort of create from your imagination into 3D world and like be able to get out these ideas into a real format, which will sort of be the thread that I want to talk about today. So then I did go to UW, and I think that some of that innate way of thinking design-wise got like honed and crafted. And after school, I did have a few internships, one of which was at Baden, which is where I later ended up working. But between that sort of, or I guess while I was already in the internships, but before I fully was just in my professional career, I like continued to do a lot, just experimenting with making in different mediums that were a little bit unusual. So here I have like a picture of some mycelium furniture that I made, which is furniture that's made out of mushrooms. And I like really took the time after that was my capstone to like take it further in just my free time and like build out like a series of furniture that is functional. And I'm actually like still doing it right now. Have a project where I'm creating a paddleboard that's like wood and mycelium, which is super fun. Then I did do it slightly more traditional. Yeah, like worked at this sports company, Baden. and did a bunch of like different ball designs and backyard games and really just anything running the gamut of like sports equipment. And then started working at Axbat, specializing more into like baseball, softball gear. And I've been there for several years, but recently have sort of launched into a new category, which is soft goods. So we're going to be pursuing like a big line extension with a bunch of protective equipment, gloves and backpacks and things like that. And all of that has come out of an initiative that actually I started with some work that I was doing in this year of the pandemic. So you can go to the next slide. I felt like when the pandemic hit, I was just realizing that like, well, work was very interesting and compelling. It was easy to kind of get your creative blinders on and just go forward in the same pattern, whereas school has these like natural breaks for you to pause and reflect and like kind of pick your head up. Work can feel in the first few years like, you know, just sort of like you're going really fast. And the pandemic for everybody in some element or another was a really natural pause. I had been spending a ton of time thinking about gear culture in the outdoor industry and feeling frustrated that I'm very, very into backpacking and did that my whole life, but that a lot of people like don't feel welcome in this space, particularly people of color, particularly people that don't have a lot of money, a lot of women, like that it's just not a super like great environment. And it's a bummer because it's a great activity that I think can facilitate like a lot of personal growth and like community development. So I wanted to start making this backpack that would bridge the gap of like, you know, price point. So it can be something that's like an everyday daily commuter and justifies maybe the medium price point that you would have to pay for a backpack that can then expand out into like a couple day backpacking pack. And so to make that a reality, I like went and bought a sewing machine and just spent the year and a half since like really, really going crazy, like teaching myself how to sew and pattern make and like talking to a bunch of outdoor designers about what they do. I don't have the finished product showing because I need to like polish it up a little bit, but basically you can see this like funny prototype on the right where, you know, there's all these pitfalls of like, you know, how do you actually make the backpack stand when it doesn't have sidewalls? How do you, you know, like kind of have this sleek, like stiff form while you are trying to keep the price point low so that it's accessible. And this has been a really, really cool experiment. But one thing great that it did for me in particular was that I was in a conversation with the VP of my current company, and he was just sort of talking about how he feels like our business was ready to grow, like that we have a lot of people paying attention to us and that we like need more areas to grow the brand and like also sort of grow business. And with that conversation kind of stewing in my mind for the next few weeks, I went and pitched him and my boss on allowing me with this like new interest and skill set to expand our offering out into new products, which is like soft goods. And amazingly, they support that. And so we're pursuing it and we're going to be launching a bunch of products starting in the summer next. And it was just really, really rewarding to have this thing that grew out of just like a total pure curiosity become an area that I get to do professionally now. And that's really exciting currently, but also because like it will open a lot of doors, I think, in the next sort of category of my career, which I'm excited about. So my insights.
That's incredible, Kate. Wow,
Thanks.
that's awesome.
Thanks. I'm really, really excited. Yeah, it's been a fun, it just like got approved maybe like a month and a half ago.
Good.
Thanks, guys. So my insights really coming out of that are that it's really, really crucial to, similar to what Scott was saying, like not get bogged down with the should of your career, like the brand name of the company that you're at, or the like title that you have, or even like a lot of comparison. You know, I think that the best way that you can design is just to like follow the curiosity. So any person that comes through your life, any like idea that keeps you up till 2 in the morning, any like project that will just have you sitting at your desk and like, or me at my sewing machine, like just sort of endlessly sewing because I really want to see what's going to come out. Like those things are worth your time the most. Like you really, really need to respect your own process to like allow that to be your priority and like really, really dive into it fully. And then to be vocal about it. And I think that sometimes being vocal can make people nervous because it sounds like it could be self-indulgent or even selfish. But I think that the best way to think about it is like, and you know what happened to me in this work scenario, nobody knows what you have to offer unless you talk about it. And like, you know, you can be like very much in alignment sometimes with the thing that you want and the thing that you want to grow in and the opportunities that are around you. So if you're just like learning to really voice your wants and needs in an open-minded, like curious way, you know, that's going to pay off and you're going to be able to develop more into it and meet the other people that are like interested in supporting you in that. So this is a picture of my boss who's like now on this roller coaster ride of, you know, like trying out these crazy new products with me. And yeah, it's been great. Questions for all of us at this point? I think I'm the last one.
Too cool. What kind of sewing machine did you get? Juki or Brother?
Oh my gosh, I had a photo of it that I had to sub out because I had too many like actual fabric and doing things pictures. But it's a oh my gosh, a FAF 260. It's like an old German machine.
Nice.
And I moved into this like little tiny apartment and got rid of like literally, I don't know, 90% of my furniture, and the sewing machine table like definitely made the cut and is like one of the only things I think I'm gonna keep from here on out. Yeah.
That's great.
Beast.
Have you made other stuff on it? I mean, besides the backpack, like have you, you know, like I think if I had one, I'd make like a bunch of pillows for like Christmas or something like that. Like
I've mostly gotten into, I mean, like I've made like a few pieces of like just like clothing that I can like wear every day, but it's mostly like I made a hiking romper, like kind of silly stuff, but like stuff that I don't see existing out there that I'm like, I want to hike in a romper. Like why? Like
I don't think hiking romper is something that's ever been said before.
I totally modeled it. Yeah, I'm nerding out about this, but I modeled it after like the Outdoor Voices kind of form language, which is like a fun experiment for me. Yeah, and then also like some stuff for my dad's sailboat. So like I made a spinnaker sock, which is like this insane like 40-foot tube of like webbing and nylon. Yeah, it was fun and crazy.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Thanks.
That's super awesome. And yeah, like way to frickin' just like yeah, like advocate for like this new line of stuff. And just in this one photo alone, this is your manager.
Yeah.
I don't know, just in this one photo, he's just like way into this thing.
Yeah.
So and that all came from you, which is so cool.
Thank you.
So yeah, super pumped to see. Is it like a line that's coming out? Or
yeah, we'll have an elbow guard, a leg guard, a sliding mitt, a backpack, and batting gloves.
Sliding mitt?
Yeah, these are such like baseball products, which is very niche, but it's like a little hard glove that helps you not like get your fingers broken if somebody steps on you with their cleat when you're sliding into a base.
Oh, is it? And so is it like semi-rigid then, or?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it's like a soft glove with like hard top and bottom and kind of like a wrist reinforcement.
And it doesn't stay in the glove. It's something that you put on, then you put the glove on.
No, it's in the glove.
Oh, it's in the glove. All right, gotcha.
Yeah, it's in the glove. It looks like we've got some questions.
Oh yeah,
great. You want to go?
No, I just wanted to comment on your just how you were able to, I don't know, it's like a hobby at first, and then it somehow became like part of the corporate like company that you're working on. I think that's just so amazing. It was like kind of, yeah, you were just messing around with it, and then somehow it like translated in a way that the company's like, yeah, let's do it. I think that's just awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think, you know, I don't have a lot of other designers in the company with me, and I think it's been sometimes like not ideal, but I think at the same time has like taught me how to, yeah, how to like work with the business side of it well, and like, you know, help them see a good scenario for like why it would be impactful, and like help get in alignment with that, which is important for them to be able to like take the risk.
Yeah, I feel like it also just like kind of pushes you. You're like, oh, like I'm getting some recognition for this. It's like people are like interested in what I'm making. So like kind of pushes you to make more things as well. Like, yeah, the
Totally.
romper and stuff like that.
It's pretty Dr. Seussy looking right now, but it'll get there. It'll get there. Anyway, KB.
Hi, Kate.
Hi.
I'm really interested in like backpack design, and I was just curious as to what is like a strategy for figuring out how to design a backpack that can fit like a majority body type.
Majority body type. Yeah, that is a really good question. I'm still learning for sure, but I think, I mean, like anything, you definitely need to prototype and test so you could have like a range of, you know, people that try it on and like experiment with it. But also will say that like I've mostly been designing the ones that I'm making at home for my body type. And that might be, yeah, that might be like a bit of a hole. We also, in baseball, since we're just going to be designing this one backpack for like college and high school baseball athletes and not even women probably at first, which is a bummer. We have like a slightly more narrow range of body type there as well. But there's this really, really fantastic group on Instagram called Unlikely Hikers. And I have like definitely just followed them for a long time and been doing kind of like a lot of reading up on the way that they work with brands to make them more inclusive, like across the board. And I don't know, I think I would go follow them if you want more info on that, because they can probably speak to it better than I can right now.
Yeah, that's cool. And they're called Unlikely Hikers.
Unlikely Hikers, yeah, it's an Instagram account.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Sure. And then Elliot, what's up?
Hi, so I just want to say I have a couple of things. Just first of all, I mean, I really appreciate all of the insights that you guys shared with us today. You know, it's so meaningful to hear from passionate designers in the industry, and specifically just, you know, having the emphasis of just like the relationships that you make in this industry, you know, hold more meaning than simply just like networking, which I think is emphasized quite a bit, you know, through designers that I've interacted with and just like on the internet. Like, how do you meet as many people as possible so you could advance your career? But it's like, you know, the truth of the matter is that like we're creative people working in an incredible industry, and so like just having that reinforcement of like how important the relationships are just for our own personal experiences is really encouraging. So thank you for that. And I had a specific question about a chair I saw. I think it was on Herman's spread, and I was just curious about your experience designing furniture and sort of what that looks like. You know, furniture it's such a, like, I feel, subjective area of industrial design, while still having to maintain like specific ergonomics in that. So I was just curious how that process has been for you.
Yeah, so I have done some airplane seating and whatnot. That chair definitely I designed, but Thomas, the other co-founder, he was more the lead, and I'm thankful for it because he's actually trained master craftsman in Germany, which is the highest degree you could get. So, you know, when they talk about German crafts, he's the guy. So, you know, like really doing the right joineries and understanding it. Maybe we'll have him speak one day because I think he would be better at elaborating on it. We definitely leveraged some, we Googled it. We're like, what's a good sitting position? And we measured our own chairs, to be honest, when we modeled that concept chair, which was for the pandemic. It was, how do you speak? How do you speak to each other without a mask? And we're just using this like 1,000-year-old concept of like sound projection to create a modernized chair. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks.
You're welcome. Joey?
Yeah, hi. I had a question for Kate about the backpack and how it's super cool that you are like spearheading this part of your company's journey. But I was curious how because it seems like from what you just said, your company is kind of baseballifying your design. And how does that affect like your drive to continue with this project or like because it's kind of like a hurdle in your original vision for this product, right? So how do you tackle that? And yeah, that's my question.
Oh my gosh, I feel like my life is getting baseballified on a daily basis. So that really speaks to me. No, in all seriousness, I fully intend to still make the pack that I want to make in my like outside of work time. And I think ultimately I would really love to work for an outdoor brand. So that's like probably my next, job that I'll be seeking. But while I'm still at my current company, I do just think it's really, really helpful to like gain the full manufacturing experience of like learning what it means to bring um, products like this, particularly the backpack, like from ideation to market and working with like the suppliers that we're establishing relationships with right now. Like learning how to like create like a real tech pack and all the kind of like necessary things that would happen in a company. So yeah, so the design is not the same. I'm like making a backpack for the baseball world, asking players what their pain points are and the whole process that you guys are familiar with. But I intend to just make both. Also, I think you guys can see this, but I threw all of our LinkedIn's into the chat so that you guys can easily connect to anybody that you want to like chat with more about tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, let's try to just finish this off. What's next, guys? Student mentorship. So we used to have this program, one-on-ones or office hours, and we're kind of evolving it. We're doing this to give you visibility of all our different diverse skill sets, yet so similar in many ways. Connect with us. Just go on LinkedIn, connect, and if someone or something triggers a question or an interest, we're part of the board because we're here to like build our network and help. So please don't be scared. We're going to also continue more of this this platform we call Industry Connections, where we invite industry professionals to talk about their experiences, but really try to reserve a bit more time for an open forum, to have these healthy dialogues, to ask the questions. I think that's when you really learn and the good stuff comes out. So yeah, we're really excited. There's a few professionals we're engaged with from across many different industries that want to be part. So just please follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and yeah, also we'll connect with all the student leads to message out. Two other things: women in design, so important, and we're so thankful for Kate and Ginger, who are going to be spearheading it along with Margaret, who isn't here, that works at Facebook Reality Labs, and so she just joined today, I think. And so yeah, it's going to be officially beginning in 2022, and that's its own chapter, so it'll have its own stream. So if you're really interested, again, connect with Kate and yeah, like follow IDSA Seattle board. So our board members, we're all going to try to stay, depending on if we get elected, but we're going to try to stay through to the next 2 years. It's a 2-year election, so there are other board members that are really loving what we're doing and wanting to join. So yeah, there will be a new board which we'll introduce and we'll connect everyone to, which is going to be really exciting come next year. That's it.
Solid gold.
Great.
Thanks all.